I'll take you through the front pages of Nigerian newspapers to see what the headlines will be today, Wednesday, and come back for a quick analysis. As you know, the Nation newspaper will show us the first light this wonderful Wednesday morning, and we'll see right here, Tinubu, we have met 2025 revenue target and gained stability. The president is rising on the fact that, look, I'm doing a lot to fix the country's economy. But let's see what the Blueprint newspaper has to say this morning. And that is something a little bit very simple right here. I'm trying to find it. Right here, Nigeria has met revenue target, won't borrow locally again. Looks like a very good news right there. The Daily Independent is also standing on this. Nigeria's mid-tier banks under pressure as 2026 deadline nears. That is something we need to talk about really. And this Nigeria, also an economy. Nigeria no longer borrowing, says the president. Now let's get to politics and talk PDP. And the Leadership newspaper is showing us something here. Wike camp, PDP governors on collision course over convention. I just don't get why PDP's convention is raising so much brouhaha. Well, we'll tell you more. The Nigerian News Direct is where we're going to. It's on the same matter, National Convention. No single individual can dictate for party. PDP challenges Wike, Fayose, and others. And right here we see the Daily Times newspaper showing us something different. PDP leaders talk tough, say no one can stop National Convention. Well, the Punch newspaper also jumps in on the same gun. Wike's camp demands ignite fresh PDP feud. Okay. And the Hope newspaper, or rather, the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, which is talking security, thugs disrupt Katsina elders meeting. A sad one right there, and we'll talk a little bit about that. The Hope newspaper also on insecurity. Ayedatiwa jacks up salary for Amotekun operatives. That's a good one. I love that. And we move to this immigration matter this morning, friends. And this is on the Platform Times. As we see right here, visa breach. UK puts Nigerian students on the watch list. That's what we started earlier. We're going to finish it. And the Sporting Life, which is always where we hang the curtains. Again, visa issues, delay Eagles in Lagos. Abuja, of all persons, Etoma. I don't expect our Eagles to be delayed. But let's begin with the Nation newspaper as we talk economy. The president is saying he has met a lot of revenue target and gained stability.
That is first hurdle crossed for Mr. President. Now you've stabilized the economy. It's time to do the hard side,
right,
which is grow the economy.
Yeah.
When you grow the economy, you create jobs, you put monies in the hands of the average Nigerian that is willing to work. Remember, willing to work. You were talking about artisans, the federal government coming up with a program that will pay artisans 5,000 naira a day, work in all the estates that the federal government is about to start. And I said, yes, that's for young men and women that have skills that are relevant, you know. So for our young people, this is a call to you. Mr. President has stabilized the economy. The next step is to grow the economy. And that means there will be opportunities for you. But if you are not prepared for those opportunities, it will go by you. So congratulations to the federal government. Congratulations to Mr. President for achieving this. We are looking forward to an economy that is grown and very fast-paced.
Yeah.
Indeed. Ria, let me take you to the Blueprint newspaper, and I want to pick up from where to my left up. You know, when it talks about young persons getting ready to make gains in this, the president is saying we're not going to borrow any longer. But my concern here is from what he said. How do young persons get themselves ready?
And as a young person, you always have to be ready. But I want people to understand that before anything gets better, the foundation has to be good.
Right.
So when we see that they're saying that the economy is stable now, on social media, a lot of people are saying otherwise. But then you wonder, if it's not stable, how can you let it grow? So the rough work has been done now, and we're hearing the president say that, okay, now this is stable. Now this is the time that we start to grow it. How is the president growing it? We're seeing international investors coming in. We're seeing relationship with Brazil. We spoke about Colombia the other day. These are all the things that will make now, we'll start growing it at a fast pace. Now, talking about young people, oftentimes we already have this mentality of Jackpa, Nigeria will not work for me. Nigeria cannot do this. We already have that. We're already prophesying bad into Nigeria. And at the end of the day, even when the opportunities, your mind is close to it because your mind is already conditioned that nothing good will come out of Nigeria. Right. So even with the amount of work that the president is putting and everybody's putting, you do not get to see it.
Because your mind is so, that's just so apt and spot on. That's a good prophecy you all need to take this morning. But Ibrahim, the Daily Independent is also talking the same thing. However, we see right here, Nigeria's midterm banks under pressure as 2026 deadline nears. And what I saw here as a writer, Ibrahim, the CBN announced in 2024, this is a recapitalization which triggered the most ambitious capital rising drive since the mid-2000s. That's a long time.
Yeah. Let me quickly chime in on the president saying that they've met the target in August. It's a good one. And the beautiful thing is that it was able to do this from non-oil exports. So saying that whatever the US is doing, we are less bothered, which is the thing for me, is the high point for me. So whatever they do, because Nigeria, the Bretton Woods have actually captured the finance of Africa, or most of the world, so much so that whenever the dollar sneezes, the rest of the currency, especially Nigeria's currency, goes into ICU. So, but it's good now. so now, talking about recapitalization, you know, this mid-tier banks under pressure. So there is a first tier, the second tier. The first tier are the banks, most of the banks, you know, especially international banks and some banks that are doing so well, they are asked to meet up with 500 billion naira in order to show that, yes, they can stand.
That's right.
And then the second tier, I think, is about 200 billion naira. And that of the regional banks, that one is 50 billion naira. But it's a challenge. Some banks are already showing that, yes, we are able to do it. Some of them have met their targets. Some are still struggling, meaning that some people, at the end of the day, some banks might marry, they might be in marriage of convenience. Don't let me say inconvenience.
So we're going to see that again.
Yeah, we're going to see that again, as it happened in 2004, 2005, where about 89 banks we had at the time, married. Married and then collapsed to 25 banks at the time. So we do not know how many banks that are going to be affected, but it's a test of strength, which will boost investors' confidence. But the problem there is that some people will still lose their job.
Exactly.
But we need the banks to be very strong, so much so that it helps the economy.
You know, and Ibrahim, just to add to that, that is my fear if this happens. Because when I was reading about it, you can see that a lot of banks, it's not even, they may collapse, a lot of banks, if they're not able to meet this target. Now, the people that were working there, where do they go? And in this whole issue, that is my fear. A lot of people are going to lose jobs. When they lose these jobs, where will they go to?
It's a developmental thing. Some people will benefit, some will. But the overall goal, how does it benefit us in the long run? That's what we should look at.
We have stronger banks that and we can do better business with these banks because they have a strong financial base, and that's what they're pursuing.
Well, maybe the benefit we're talking about, we can find it here on this Nigerian newspaper. Etuma, I see right here, inflation rate slowed to 21.88% in July. This is quoting the NBS. Probably one of the benefits we're talking about, isn't it?
Yes. You know, when you work towards stabilizing the economy, when your work has started affecting inflation and all that, you want other financial parameters to be strong too. So I think that could inform the recapitalization of banks and so on. From the way things are moving, I am not a financial expert, but you have to just look at it. Look at it, you realize that maybe we are getting some things right as a country as far as the financial sector is concerned. You know, because inflation rate is slowing down. What again? Banks are recapitalizing. The economy is now stable because they can
These are the things that we need.
Seems like
we are looking forward to good times.
But even as we keep hearing about inflation, what about the people? Is it reflecting on the people? That's what we also need to look.
It takes time.
We know that it takes time, but at the end of the day, the common man
people.
outside is wondering. And I remember when we were having the interview, we were speaking about the fact that we need to start seeing these things. We're hearing it, we're reading it, it looks beautiful, but it's time to start seeing it.
Indeed. Yeah. We have a lot on the table, so we need to add some speed to this, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go to the leadership newspaper, and real politics is where we're turning the gear into now. The Wike Camp and PDP governors on this their epoch coming convention.
And you know, this convention for me, it's very, when we talk about the PDP, it's strange to me the way there is always confusion among them. Now, I was reading the things that Wike is saying. So Wike is demanding a couple of things that, you know, should be done. He says fresh elections in some states, that's Ebonyi, Anambra, and Ekiti. And he's also saying a new Congress in the Southeast. And he's saying that keep the position of national chairman, not central, and then stop changing zoning rules. But now my problem is some people are also saying that we will not listen to you. You cannot be the one person that will say that this should not happen. You know, so it's the back and forth week is to see. All I'll say to PDP is time that when we want to read news about PDP, we want to read that everything is okay. You've settled your own, because their grounds it's forever shaking for. I'm tired about talking about PDP. Please go on with your national meeting. We wish you all the best.
But Ibrahim, you know, the Nigerian News Direct as well. The writer here says, as party inaugurates convention committee, Bala Mohammed lambas Wike's faction as faction of.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. Is that what he read? No, you saying.
That's what he said, you know, saying that they do not care, and a group of people cannot continue to hold them to ransom because at this point in time, they're not afraid of anybody. They have to go ahead with whatever it is that they want to do. But I have to tell you that the PDP, it is not yet uhuru for the PDP, because if you still have Wike and his faction, and his teammates, like you know, not led, but the communique was read by former governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom. And I saw the meeting yesterday, about 3 hours. I was like, this is a new crisis that is brewing up. But Wike has a point. Yeah. He said that there are some outstanding things that the PDP needs to attend to, such as what you read out, and that this is according to the court. The court has actually ruled that they reconduct these congresses for these regions, whatever it is that you want to do. And the PDP still came back yesterday and said, yes, our convention will definitely go on, but though it is zoned to the south, but it is still open to anyone from all walks of life, meaning whatever region, meaning that we might still see someone from the north emerging, and that will be a problem.
Wike is always right in one way or the other.
You can give it to the man. He knows how to stand on justice, as the case may be, you know, to drive home his point, so that tomorrow, if Wahala come, he can tell you, I said it. But the Daily Times, Etoma, and the Punch newspaper are also saying the same thing. But there's something else I'd like you to chime in on this morning, Etoma, and that is at the bottom of it. We see right here, 3 Lagos laborers found dead in makeshift apartment. This matter happened, you know, a while ago, and of course the spokesman for the police is on here as well. This came from him. It happened some time ago, and I'm just wondering, because again the governor had given should I say, an ultimatum to people who are living in shanties, you know, just the same thing also going on in the FCT, that you need to get out of those spaces, because sometimes this residence, you know, is harbored as a place for crime to succeed. And so we're finding 3 persons there. This is not a good one at all.
Yes, it's not a good one at all. In the 80s in the United States, we had something like this. And how did the government of the United States approach it? They built projects. They built projects. You tell people to leave the shanties. They are not living there because that's their idea of a comfortable place. You know, they are living there because they don't have any other option. And you're telling them to leave without giving them an alternative. Are you going to promote, are you going to solve the problem, or you are going to exacerbate the problem? That is what we should look at. Government should help out in this case. We have low-cost housing that government can invest in for people like that. Let's just take the American model. They built projects in their own cases. In their own case, sorry, they built high-rise buildings. You know, little flats. So one building can house like 200 families and so on. We can replicate something like that in Nigeria, and we can do it in conjunction with the private sector.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of people in the private sector that will want to invest in things like this.
Nelson, I was saying the other day, nobody, and just to add what Etoma said, nobody wants to live in a shanty, honestly speaking. If there's a better place for you to live in, you would not want to be there. So I feel like in terms of this, there's a lot the government has to do as well, because this is a very, very bad news. And it's not even safe for them there.
Right. I think Dangote actually said something like, we'll need about 17,000 housing units to take care, to cater to, some of these housing deficits that we have in the country. And then you mentioned high-rise buildings. It's not that the EU is uhuru for the US, because there are so many people still sleeping on the streets in California, even many zombies.
Washington, D.C.
So they still have housing deficits there, and it is run by private organizations.
That's right.
It is not the government.
Let me shock you a little bit. Housing deficit is everywhere in the world. What you're trying to achieve is to reduce it. Reduce it as much as possible, and there has to be a conscious effort to reduce this. For Nigeria, I believe if government partners with the private sector, they will go a long way, in reducing housing deficits.
And if Dangote said that, I'm expecting him to also join with the government and do something.
Oh, yes.
He's someone he loves Nigeria.
He sells cement.
He's a patriotic person. So it's easy. He can even give out cement if he doesn't even want to give a lot of money. So, Dangote, there's something you can do.
However, do you know that government has this policy for manufacturers, but it's called the tax buyback, and it is this program that Dangote has used in rehabilitating a lot of roads. But you see, the roads he has rehabilitated are roads that leads directly to his facilities and stuff like that.
Like the Kaduna,
if I would say something, our big heads, we have the you see in Nigeria, we have the richest people. We have Tony Elumelu, we have, Dangote, we have Femi. If they come together and they help the government with...
the economic team.
That's what I'm saying. Like, for us to see all those buildings, like you said, private sector should come in. Like, we need them to come in and help.
But apart from just
they can do more, even if they are there. More can be done.
Apart from just building, they have been, doing quite other things in education and so on.
Yes, and they can also do more in housing.
But there's something I want us to look at here, still on the Daily Times. However, the other one was on the Punch newspaper. On the Daily Times, the EFCC is asking, or rather, the NCAA is asking the EFCC to join them in tackling aviation fraud. I'm just thinking the NDLEA are always there, which we always see them burst drug transits during flights and so on and forth. If the EFCC is also coming on board, what exactly is going to be their role? Corruption?
Of course.
No. Yes. Financial corruption, fraud and so on. I think it's a very good call. It's a very good call. Even though the aviation sector is the most monitored sector in Nigeria, there are still holes. There are still holes. So if EFCC comes, EFCC should be able to take care of the financial brouhaha.
Yeah, because if you're peddling drugs, at the end of the day, it's illegal money. So I think it's a good call for them to, if they work together, it will be double whammy. Because
the fabric of the aviation industry itself, the financial fabric of the aviation industry itself needs to be investigated.
If you all remember, there was some time ago, I did a story, Ibrahim, you might remember better, on a lady who finds money in the airport. Josephine Ugu actually she finds money, billions of naira, sometimes millions of dollars in Ghana must go, just left in the airport. And I went to her house to ask her.
And when she sees it, she leaves it there?
Well, she carries it back to the authorities.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to open those stuffs on that.
Yeah, of course, yes, the right thing.
So I'm thinking maybe these cases like this also with the EFCC would have to deal, because that is actually still going on in the airport.
No, but what would be their reason for leaving the money there?
There's a standing travel limitation of the kind of amount you should travel with. And some of these persons come with excess of it.
Then take it home, send it back home or something. Why leave it at the airport?
You do not know the source of this money.
Exactly. Then the source is bad. Because if the source is not bad, it's small, send it back home. Why would you leave it at the airport? That means you're running away from something.
No, most of the people, they might even be in transit, because when you get to certain countries, the restriction might allow you to go through certain checks and borders. When you get to another country, it will not help you to get through. You can't travel beyond more than $10,000 in your wallet or whatever it is. So
let's quickly make our way, friends, to the Daily Trust this morning, which is talking security. Ibrahim, I'll begin this one with you.
That's right.
Thugs disrupt Katsina elders meeting. Which meeting was this, and how did thugs find their way in here? So
the meeting was actually highly publicized, and Governor Diko Rada, supported the meeting, and then he had his own persons there. But I think it was the elders, coming up, they were complaining about the insecurity. They were doing some statistics as to these are the challenges we're facing, affecting food crisis. People are not able to go to school. People are being kidnapped, etc. In the northern region, especially the state, Katsina. And then someone stood up from among the audience saying that the person talking was actually saying all what he was saying to bring down the government. So it was more like an attack on the government. And people said, hold on, for when it was the time for us to do general, the AOB kind of a thing, then you can make your point. Then there were some thugs outside, some with knives, brandishing it, and some within, saying that anyone who made any statement here, they're going to attack them. So it was thugs that actually disrupted this. And this was also coming on the heels of Governor Rada meeting with President Tinubu, who has given an executive order that state must be purely secured, well secured, and the security operators should be re-strategized so that we restore normalcy to that state. We
really hope that really works. But let me take you, Rhea and Etoma, to the Hope newspaper now. Ayeda Tiwa has jacked up the salary of Amateku. It looks like some good news right there. Well,
Amateku, I'll say that in one way or the other, they've been doing a great job. Even though there are some that do otherwise, there are some that there are still good eggs that do well. And I feel like when you increase incentives of anybody, they work harder. And, they feel like, you see what they're doing and you appreciate them. I think that is a good one. And it motivates them, to now work harder.
Indeed.
Is that motivation?
Indeed. Yes. And finally, on the Sporting Live, ladies and gentlemen, visa issues, delays, Eagles in Lagos, Abuja. We saw them yesterday. I mean, it was all over the social media. Boy, I saw our boys in not jerseys. They look good.
Of course. Look good. Jerseys are nice.
Wouldn't they look good? Take, for example, I read somewhere that Osimhen now makes 72 million a day. Why won't he look good?
On this table, I remember.
And that's why I've been sending
but what is wrong with you guys? That you are always leaving the issue and talking about money.
When you talk about football, of course, we love the game, but the money. And that's why you men here, I need to send one of you. I think Nelson is more appropriate.
There's one of our colleagues here who always say that my son must play football. If he doesn't play, I will.
No, by the grace of God, when I give birth, he's going to football school. He will mix the two together.
I see.
No, first of all, the guy has to have the talent.
He will have the talent by force.
When you identify the talent,
can be important and injected into him. But that's how far we can go on the newspaper review segment this one. We had quite a lot of fun. Once a loud voice behind separatist calls, Simon Ekpa now faces the weight of international law for terrorism and financial crimes tied to unrest in Nigeria. Join us after the break as we bring you this conversation. Stay with us, everyone.